Hello, I'm Tracy Insminger. Welcome to my presentation of Leading with a Moral Compass. Article summaries. Having a Moral Compass video. Speaker Frank Vaccaro gives a poignant talk about his personal struggles as a child and how, because of his experiences, he has come up with 4 basic tenets. Always put people first in your decision making. Respect individual dignity. Be honest and treat everyone fairly. And one notable comment he made near the end of his video I thought that was pertinent was that he did say that be careful how you are in regards to treating people fairly. Be careful how, was that if someone sees exceptions in how people are treated, that can impact their perception, and perception determines attitude. And then attitude will determine the behavior. So you want to make sure that you're treating people fairly. The same rule should apply to all the people. Moral Compass video. If you didn't have a moral compass, you'd be dead, stated the author of this, or the speaker in this short video. This video explains some essentials of having a moral compass. Integrity is essential. It is the key that strengthens a relationship and allows trust to develop, and your word is your bond. People have an expectation that they should be able to trust you and that you're going to be honest. And don't get yourself in situations where you may be tempted to cross your own moral line, because once you do that, it makes it easier to do that again. Encountering the Stranger, Hannah Arendt and the Shortcomings of Empathy as a Moral Compass. And this article takes a close look at empathy and what it means and if it's connected to morality. There is cognitive empathy and affective empathy. Cognitive empathy is the capacity to understand another person's state of mind. And effective empathy is a variety of emotional responses that other people can have in response to experiences of others. However, Bloom stated that cognitive empathy is not really empathy, but rather empathy is when you suffer because of someone else's suffering. I feel what you feel. Bloom elaborates further by stating that real empathy is when you suffer, and he cautions about making decisions in that emotional state. The moral judgment and action do not necessarily require empathy, and the empathy is biased, and consequently those practicing empathy have a predilection for helping those who are similar to themselves. Moral emotions, concepts unwrapped. Some 90% of all of our brain's decisions are made automatically and intuitively. McCombs. Rationalizing in order to make a decision is when someone makes an excuse for a decision that they know morally fundamentally goes against them. And there are self-conscious emotions. This is when people may be motivated to make the right decision because they are concerned about guilt, shame, and embarrassment. So they're motivated to do the right thing. And there are condemning emotions, when people do the right thing because they are afraid of the condemnation that may come along with making a bad decision and how people may scrutinize their judgment or their actions. And then there are praising emotions, which involve sympathy and empathy and can motivate others to act with compassion. Others can also be motivated to be kind when they see kindness. In other words, kindness begets kindness. It does state that emotions can alter morality and create judgment. So to be cautious about using that type of praise and consideration. Set your moral compass true north. Using our moral compass to guide our decision making helps us make the kind of decisions that consider the values and needs of others before our own needs. Understand and appreciate why we should consider the needs of others before acting, says Menz. There are a variety of enforcers to bring out a moral compass. There's the golden rule, the rights theory, and evaluate benefits and harm to others. And the article further breaks down the various motivators. In fact, the golden rule, we've all heard of that, right? And it's treat others as you want to be treated. And then there's the rights theory. We are required to respect the rights of others and to be committed to the obligations we have to others. And finally, considering the benefits and harm to others, especially when pondering alternative options. Consider who else may be affected by our decisions and to make a decision that would create the least harm to others that are involved. The moral compass. The author of this article does a deep dive into the perception of what true north is in regards to a moral compass, stating the following. While both the concept of a moral compass and the definition of morality are simple and clear, the concept of what constitutes morality is not, says Orchard. And immorality has always been part of our society, and that religion may have no bearing on morality. So he goes on to explain that though we know what a moral compass is, each individual is going to be impacted in how their moral compass may be developed from their past experiences and how they view things already. So immorality also, it states, while it's always been part of our society and this concept is true, the article backs up the fact by stating that immorality isn't really occurring more, but it's social platforms that make information immediately viewable and available makes it seem as though immorality is becoming a bigger issue than it perhaps actually is. And that it also states that religion may have no bearing on morality. While we look at some organized religions who have leaders that have the authority to change scriptural injunctions, and we have the immorality of leaders who pledge to represent or allege to represent the good God. They act immorally and then they get caught, and in spite of trying to put themselves out there as someone who is moral and representing. And there's the search for moral compass. The moral compass firstly entails the awakening of a stronger moral awareness, the sharpening of values and principles according to which people decide to live, says Vanderwalt. Values and principles. Be secure in your identity. A moral compass based on religion, national and international consensus, and context of citizenship. So values and principles based on, or building your morality on values and principles could also, again, create a situation where your morals and values are going to be vastly different than what others are. But you have to be strong enough in who you are and know what you believe so that you're automatically making the moral decisions. And using a moral compass based on religion, national or international consensus can also be flawed and sway those decision makers in ways that would be more biased towards others just based on the religion or the national or international consensus. And then context of citizenship. How are we alike? How are we different? How are we connected to each other and how we view things? So where people differ from one another so greatly that it is unlikely that they would share the same values, states Vanderwalt. Our moral compass, whether for good or for bad, here are 7 ways people are influenced to make decisions, states Wood. Reciprocation. So people are more inclined in life to make a decision or give you something in return if you've already given them something. And scarcity. It's that inclination to want something that isn't as available as it was, so people may tend to make a decision that may be flawed or swayed based on scarcity. In authority, that's the belief that someone in authority may have more credibility or the stance and the idea that that is true. Consistency and commitment has to do with whenever, for example, if you make a pledge to a campaign or something and you want to seem as though you're someone who's going to be consistent, so you continue to donate money, and each time maybe you donate it at greater amounts because you want to look reliable and consistent, and people can manipulate this to get you to commit to things you really don't want to. And liking, just whether or not you like an individual, whether or not you are similar to them and you have commonalities. And then there's consensus or social proof. It's the consensus or some maybe data that would prove that there is some sort of a backing to what is being stated, so you're more likely to be swayed by that. And then there's unity, just a commonality again. But that can also create a situation where it can get the mindset of me against them or us against them type of mentality. And that's something you want to avoid in your decision making. So it is a moral compass and why you need one. A moral compass helps provide an objective standard to help each of us define and address our ethical moral weaknesses, says Zitzman. Without a moral compass, decision-making may be done without considering the impact to others. Through the ages, philosophers have grappled with ideas on what exactly makes a moral compass, but few would disagree that our moral compass is the benchmark against which we guide our decision-making processes, and includes wanting peace and having integrity and causing as little harm as possible. So here is my link to my Prezi for my moral compass. All right. Ethics. My ethics are based on my upbringing. My principles were gleaned by my grandmother, who was a God-fearing Christian. Where I'm from. I'm from Oklahoma, as are my kin, and we believe that people are equal irregardless. And my childhood and growing up, I spent many days with my grandma, who was a child care provider for my single mom, and she has heavily influenced who I have become as an adult. My morals. My standards of behavior are founded in my ideals of what is right and acceptable to me, doing what is right and acceptable. Modeling morality as a teacher, I will model for my students what is right and wrong and explain how my childhood and my past and integrate my own life experiences into helping them understand who I am and how our childhood impacts who we become. And my true north, as a teacher and future leader, my moral compass is guided by my Christian background of tolerance and acceptance. My ethics are inherent in tolerance and acceptance, to use empathy to guide my decisions, but not the sole rule to making decisions. Rather to consider who is impacted, what is the least harm, credibility of those involved, motivation of others, respect and dignity. And here are my references. Sorry about that pause. And my addendum, my correlation, my relevancy, and my personal reflection. Thank you so much for watching my video.